Welcome to Looking Back. We'll take you through interesting historical facts from around the world. In today's episode, we'll look way back at the history of Atlantis. Tales of the possibly fictitious islands of Atlantis have been around for thousands of years. The stories were first wrote about by the Greek philosopher Plato around 360 BCE. Although the original story goes back approximately 9,000 years before Plato, who was told about the ancient civilization by his family, who passed the stories down through generations. Plato wrote about the abundantly wealthy and advanced civilization as a cautionary tale of hubris. The stories describe the Atlanteans as being possible descendants of Poseidon that lived on a series of islands located in the Atlantic Ocean, in front of the straits known as the Pillars of Hercules. The Atlanteans were a civilization made up of demigods and had a huge military with an enormous naval fleet and a land army of roughly 10,000 chariots. Beyond their military capabilities, they also had advanced engineering and architecture. They built a capital made up of rings of water and land, connected by bridges and tunnels that allowed ships to pass. They had great canals and docks, along with tunnels that bored through the rocky rings to connect the inner harbor to the sea. Atlantis was thought to have been governed by 10 kings that divided the island into 10 regions, each one ruled by a descendant of Poseidon and Plato, Poseidon's mortal wife. The civilization was blessed with so many natural resources with enormous riches. No other civilization could even come close to the power of Atlantis. The Atlanteans lived in a utopia. Before they became corrupted, they built a temple in the center dedicated to Poseidon, covered in silver with an ivory roof and filled with golden statues. They were scientific masters. They mined a mystical, valuable red metal called orichalcum and were able to process it alongside of tin, bronze, and gold. Unfortunately, the Atlanteans, with all their power and riches, neglected to honor the gods who provided them with such luxuries. Towards the end, they became immoral, greedy, and vain. Because of their vanity and hubris, they sent their massive armies to conquer much of Europe and North Africa. But when they tried to attack Athens, the Atlanteans suddenly met their match. Even though Athens was much smaller compared to the great Atlantis, they were able to stop the Atlantean attack and free people in Europe and North Africa. The Atlanteans' terrible behavior and the inability to conquer the Athenians angered the gods, mainly Zeus. Their punishment for losing their way, and the battle, you might ask? Not too much. The gods only sent earthquakes and fires to destroy them. In one very unpleasant night and day, Atlantis sank into the ocean along with the heroic Athenian warriors who had battled them. It's thought that the Atlantean residents that didn't die in the tsunami fled inland and built new cities there. Plato's story was written to illustrate the consequences of pride and the moral decay of civilizations. The story emphasizes divine punishment for attempting to conquer Athens, and the Atlanteans pissing off the gods. Their island sank into the sea in one single day and night of misfortune. Modern theories link Atlantis to real events, such as the eruption of Thera around 1500 BCE, which caused massive tsunamis that have influenced the legend. Over time, Atlantis became a symbol for lost advanced civilizations. Even today, about 57% of Americans still believe that lost civilizations like Atlantis exist. Perhaps that's what makes the story of Atlantis so fascinating. A U.S. research team thinks they may have located Atlantis, possibly in the mudflats of northern Spain. The team looked through satellite photos along with using deep ground penetrating radar, digital mapping, and underwater technology to view the site. The waterlogged area of Donna and Dampa Park is believed to be the ancient city known as Atlantis. This video is for educational purposes only, but as always, if you liked what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe to hear more interesting historical facts.